Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Listen, 70-30 in AJ's favor, or no fight, is what seems to be the theme right now as far as getting AJ in the ring against Deontay Wilder. Now, if you ask me, I think that's more than fair. I think Deontay Wilder would be more than lucky to get that opportunity. And I do think Deontay Wilder has a good chance giving a better representation of himself in this fight. I do think Joshua should be favored. But this is the thing. This is what makes this unique, right? Although most people, when they talk about Deontay Wilder right now, they feel he should retire from the sport of boxing. I personally think Deontay Wilder needs to do some soul searching and figure out what he's going to do. Sounds like he's shed a few bad habits, some things he was doing that he enjoyed, like singing, rapping, and also training in MMA, right? It sounds like he set a lot of that aside to focus on boxing. Now if that's the case, right, you got to give Deontay Wilder a chance to at least make Joshua think twice, especially in those early rounds. Because if Wilder decides to come in there and let his hands go, you can't, if any fighter has any common sense, they're going to respect what Wilder brings to the table. And they're not just going to go in there and look for a mashup crasher. That being said, I think Anthony Joshua is only right to be favored in that fight. But this is what's crazy about it. They're saying, right, and when I say they, I'm talking like Eddie Hearn, saying there's only two fights that they're really, outside of Deontay Wilder, that they're not ruling that out. There's only two fights they're looking for AJ. Philip Hrgovic and Tyson Fury. Now, this is how I see it. Philip Hrgovic and AJ could fight in March. Tyson Fury and Usyk could fight in February. Because Wilder and AJ were supposed to fight in March. And that fight was going to be, was being orchestrated around the end date of Riyadh season. So the fight was put in place to help conclude Riyadh season. Two former heavyweight world champions to finally collide to make history. But this is the craziness now. I personally think, right? Because the numbers that I'm seeing is there was $100 million on the table, 50 apiece, Wilder and AJ. Now it could be 70-30. So AJ could end up getting $70 million and Wilder get 30. And Wilder can't go anywhere and make that kind of money. Simple. So I don't think the negotiation would be that tough. But for AJ to fight Philip Hrgovic, okay? I'm going to show you something. Right? This is what makes this interesting. Let me pull some up. I'm going to show you something. For him to fight Philip Hrgovic, I truly believe that's a much tougher fight right now, based on looking at the most recent performance of Deontay Wilder. I think that's a more difficult fight than fighting Deontay Wilder. Now, I understand Eddie Hearn and AJ. First, Hearn wants the money, so he's looking at Wilder. AJ wants the title, so he's looking at Hrgovic. So they got to meet in the middle somewhere. Now, when you look at Hrgovic, Eddie Hearn has gone on record and said, we know Hrgovic wants to fight for a title. He said, however, he may step aside, right, for the right amount of money, which would allow AJ to possibly get an opportunity. But my thing is, if Usyk and Fury are going to be busy in a sequel, and AJ wants to fight in March, Hrgovic, right, he may not want to fight AJ. Hrgovic may say, you know what, I just fought. I want to wait and see how things go with Usyk and Fury, because this is the problem. Nobody wants to lose right now. See, this is the shit that's crazy. AJ doesn't want to lose. Hrgovic doesn't want to lose, because they're just sitting there clamoring at the idea that they're going to get an opportunity for a title shot, an undisputed distinction. Okay, one or the other is going to happen. But this is what's crazy. If Deontay Wilder is really focused on boxing and he proves to be available, I think Deontay Wilder could be a great feather in the cap for AJ or Hrgovic. Because right now, just based on what we saw and knowing that Deontay Wilder is drinking that tea, right? Whatever the hell that is. I'm not so sure just what kind of shit Deontay Wilder can get himself into if he hasn't stopped with the intoxicant. Now, if he continued with that intoxicant, although he gave up some of the other things he enjoys doing, I still think Deontay Wilder will be handicapped, okay? Simple. What a feather in the cap it would be. Now, could you imagine, right? It's the same thing I was saying with Earl Spence and Crawford. If Crawford would have just fought Keith Thurman, boy, oh boy, a feather in his cap. Nobody has that feather in the cap but goddamn Manny Pacquiao. And he's not fighting. So if Crawford would have plucked Keith Thurman and had him on his resume, it'd be hard for anybody to say anything about Terrence Crawford in negotiations. But nonetheless, nobody has a feather in the cap. The only two people with the feather in the cap right now in the heavyweight division of Deontay Wilder is Tyson Fury, Joseph Parker. But Joseph Parker isn't going into any big-time fights anytime soon. I just don't think Joseph Parker is going to get there. But he may. But I just don't think so. He's not a guy who's being talked about to be in title contention anytime soon. He's still in a rebuilding phase. But if AJ and Eddie Hearn sleep on Deontay Wilder and Hrgovic may get that opportunity because Hrgovic may say, you know what? Why would I fight AJ? Why would I go ahead and mess around with Anthony Joshua if I don't have to? And he may get an opportunity to fight Deontay Wilder and go after Wilder instead and get that feather in his cap. But you just don't know how it's all going to play out. But I personally think while Deontay Wilder still has value and is somewhat what seems to be on the decline, I think somebody should pluck him while they can still make good money fighting a guy like Wilder who still has a chance. You gotta get them. He still has a chance. But I think they should jump on that. And I think there's more risk of AJ fighting Hrgovic and Hrgovic fighting AJ. I think both of those guys present, a formidable risk against each other. So why not go somewhere where there's a big name on what seems to be a lower risk, a lesser risk. But I don't know how they're going to play it. But I think Deontay Wilder, if he makes some noise, I think Deontay Wilder is still in a good position to land a fight. If we keep talking about AJ, shit, he may mess around coming here and step in front of AJ and fight Hrgovic because Hrgovic may say, I don't want to take that fight. Now, this is what's crazy. Now, let me see if I can pull this up for you. It's understanding these guys in their positions, right? Now, this is the IBF right here. Now, we keep talking about Flip Hrgovic. Get rid of this damn thing. Okay, we keep talking about Flip Hrgovic because of this. He's ranked number 1 in the IBF. So as a result, you see that M next to his name? He's the mandatory. Wallen was ranked number 2. He lost to Joshua. So Joshua bumps up to the number 2. This doesn't mean that now that Joshua is probably ranked at number 2, that Flip Hrgovic has to fight AJ. That's not what this means. Okay? It doesn't mean Flip Hrgovic has to fight Parker. Flip Hrgovic is waiting for an opportunity here. So what's going to happen when Fury fights Usyk? More than likely, the winner is going to be stripped of the IBF belt. And then that's when you're going to see where Hrgovic is going to have to face, more than likely, it'll be AJ for that vacant belt. But right now, before anyone gets stripped, there's an opportunity for somebody to have a stay busy fight. And as long as Hrgovic's the mandatory, he could take a stay busy fight. He just sat there and fought. And he fought, what's that guy's name he just fought, man? The guy from Australia, man. I can't remember the guy who got their name, but he got in there and tranquilized him, and he got him out of there pretty damn quickly. Let me see some. Is he even on here? It wasn't Gassiev. What was his name? I forgot the guy's name who he just fought. But anyway, he got in there and tranquilized him pretty damn quickly. So I think Hrgovic is in a good position if he wants to just have a stay busy fight before Anthony Joshua and Eddie Hearn see that before they make their move after the winner of Usyk and Fury gets stripped of the IBF belt. I think Hrgovic should stay busy and fight maybe Deontay Wilder, or Anthony Joshua should fight Deontay Wilder. Somebody needs to do something. And I think that helps them when it comes to the negotiating table. Because Flip Hrgovic and AJ, if they go to the negotiating table right now, there's no way in the world Flip Hrgovic can get a goddamn 50-50 split. Now, if the Saudis are just sitting out putting out flat rates, and it's basically whatever a fighter and the team can negotiate, well, I don't know how it's going to work out. But you can't tell me that Eddie Hearn, old fast Eddie, is going to be okay with Flip Hrgovic getting a 50-50 split with Anthony Joshua. Not gonna happen. So, that being said, let's wait and see what happens. Because they're gonna shuffle up this racking stack under the IBF as far as the number 1 through 15. And I think we're gonna see some names bubble up, some guys fall down. We maybe see some new names enter their top 15. But I think this is a good opportunity for Hrgovic to stay busy, because I'm going to tell you right now, the biggest thing, my concern with Hrgovic, that fight that he had, my man, that shit, he put in less work than Wilder put in against Helenius in his one round. There's no way in the world you could tell me that Hrgovic, he's basically in the same position Wilder's in. He's still kind of inactive. I don't even count that as being active. The training camp was cool, but he looked like he knew he didn't have to put any work in. Like he knew he was going to get through that opponent. Even the opponent knew when he heard him talking about it. I got T-Rex arms. Basically saying I got to go balls to the wall and just try to knock him out. After so many rounds, he'll get his timing down and he's going to basically tranquilize me. Like he knew he was going to go in the ring and die. You know what I'm saying? But I think that is a good plan. All I'm saying is don't be surprised if Deontay Wilder ends up getting that AJ fight, because even Eddie Hearn's not done, and he'll take some risk. But he also he knows that putting AJ in there with Wilder right now, that risk could pay off big time. That investment could pay some huge dividends for him. But at the end of the day, we just gotta wait and see. But that's what I think. I think that something needs to happen before a deal needs to be made and a fight needs to be put in place before the IBF makes a decision. But we just have to wait and see, because that's what the hell they were doing with Wilder and AJ. They weren't really worried about Hrgovic, were they? Because Wilder and AJ were going to fight in March, right? That's what the plan was. So you figure if Fury and Usyk they fight in February, after the fight's over, I don't know how many days the winner would have been given to get into negotiation to strike a deal to face Hrgovic. But if they didn't, they would have been stripped. So that belt would have been there. Hrgovic, they wouldn't have made Hrgovic the IBF champion. I think he would have had to fight somebody. So maybe Hrgovic would have had to go in and wait for the winner of Wilder, AJ. But I don't know. But what I do think is, I think somebody should fight Wilder. And right now, it looks like for AJ to fight him, Eddie Hearn's out here. What's rumored now, take this shit with a grain of salt. Like he wants a 70-30 split. And I think it can happen. But I wouldn't, and Wilder would probably want that too, because that's huge money. Especially if there's still $100 million on the table, there's just $30 million for Wilder. But for this guy Hrgovic, if that deal isn't there for Wilder, and Hrgovic, if he's smart, I'd go after Wilder. Now, when Hrgovic goes to the table with AJ, where you know he's not getting, probably not even a damn 70, maybe he gets 70-30. If he can get that Wilder's name in, that feather in his cap, he's going to be looking at a 50-50 split. he may be looking at, I think 50-50. I think it'd be hard for them to not give him 50-50. But we just got to wait and see how it plays out, man. So bottom line is, Wilder is still definitely, man, he still has a dog in the fight. We know AJ does. We know Hrgovic does. But AJ and Hrgovic and their team, they don't want to misstep. They don't want to take a loss. Nobody wants to take a loss. And my thing is, hey, if the IBF doesn't force those guys to fight each other, and if the guys in Saudi still have an interest in making Wilder fight somebody, why not have Wilder fight AJ or fight Hrgovic? But I still prefer Wilder and AJ. I don't care what y'all say. Hrgovic is a good fighter. I like watching him, but it doesn't interest me as much as AJ and Wilder. And there's a lot of people that share that same opinion. Just make the goddamn fight. We understand Wilder kind of fumbled the bag. Give him 30%. AJ takes 70%. Even 80-20, whatever it is. Because if Deontay Wilder doesn't continue fighting, that AJ Wilder fight will never happen. And I just think it's ridiculous that we have the opportunity right now to make the fight. Even with Wilder coming off of a loss. We have the opportunity to make the fight, and because of political bullcrap, it may not happen ever. I just think that is crazy. But that being said, y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans, all 7 continents. AJ Wilder, Hrgovic. Who should fight who? When should they do it? Should they wait to see what happens with Usyk and Fury if that IBF belt becomes available? Is that what should happen? Do you agree with that? Do you disagree? I personally think, like you heard me say, Wilder AJ, if AJ and Hearn don't want to mess with it, try to get at Hrgovic. Hrgovic Wilder, Hrgovic may beat him. I think Hrgovic will beat him. And Hrgovic get that Wilder feather in his cap. Or Wilder somehow comes out, pulls out a little bit of bronze bomber magic, and now he's back on the map. And he's right back in negotiation with AJ, and we'll pick up where we left off. Y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans. All 7 continents. In the breeze.